him money and leave Jaxon, bitch!
Jaxon! Jaxon, have you lost your mind? What, were you crazy? Not here. Anyone could walk in.
You married me for money, didn't you? Let's make sure you cash in with the next year. Scream louder. Scream all you want. You're nothing but a contract to me. That was crossing a line. Apologize now!
He calls attention. This woman is clearly the legitimate wife of a powerful elite family, yet she is being slammed against the wall and viciously humiliated by her billionaire husband, Jaxon. The man is convinced she married him purely for money. He uses every possible way to torment her, refusing to believe a single word of her explanation. And all of this traces back to a carefully orchestrated conspiracy. At this very moment, just as the woman is being humiliated by her husband until her clothes are in disarray, an even more despairing scene unfolds. Jaxon's mistress, Isabella, storms in arrogantly, along with his mother. Looking at the heroine's miserable state, the scheming mistress wears the smug smile of a victim. She mocks her mercilessly, sneering that even with the title of wife, she can never win her husband's heart. Nothing more than a pitiful, unwanted woman. Furious, the heroine fires back that she is the rightful Mr. Jaxon, while Isabella is nothing but a shameless homewrecker who can never step into the light. But the mistress remains utterly fearless, scoffing that Jaxon would never believe the words of a gold digger. Sure enough, the vicious mother-in-law immediately lunges forward and slaps the heroine hard across the face. In her eyes, Isabella is the great benefactor who once saved her grandson's life, while this daughter-in-law is nothing more than a venomous snake who deceived her way into the family with lies and beauty. Pointing at the heroine's nose, the mother-in-law unleashes a torrent of insults, accusing her of being worthless beyond her looks and utterly unfit to be the lady of the Astor family. Faced with her husband's cold indifference, the mistress's provocation, and her mother-in-law's humiliation, the heroine's heart sinks into complete despair. Everyone believes she is clinging to this family for money, but they don't know that this marriage was, from the very beginning, a 3-year contract. Wiping away her tears, the woman lifts her head and coldly declares that once the 3-year agreement expires, she will vanish completely and leave this nauseating place forever. As she watches her resolute figure walk away, Jaxon feels a flicker of doubt for the first time. What they don't know is that when the truth is finally revealed, the woman they trampled on so mercilessly will become someone the entire family can never hope to reach. So what was the real truth behind the child's rescue all those years ago? And what secrets are hidden behind this marriage contract?
Pay close attention. This man is roaring in rage, forcing his lawful wife to kneel down and apologize to the so-called fragile, innocent-looking mistress beside him. Even more outrageous, the entire family stands on the mistress's side, because she is carrying the heir of the family in her womb. The story begins with a carefully staged setup. Just moments ago, the husband and so-called white moonlight Isabella suddenly accidentally fell to the ground, and Natasha, the wife standing in front of her, instantly became the target of everyone's accusations. Without bothering to find out the truth, Jaxon rushed over, pointed at Natasha's nose, and ordered her to apologize immediately. Natasha was at a loss for words. She knew perfectly well that she hadn't pushed that woman at all. What she couldn't understand was why, despite being the wife personally chosen for Jaxon by his grandfather, she lived in this household like a punching bag. She refused to apologize. She would not take the blame for something she never did. Seeing Natasha stand her ground, a flash of malice crossed Isabella's eyes. Though she quickly put on an even more pitiful and wronged expression, she pretended to persuade Jaxon not to blame Natasha. while every word subtly implied that Natasha dared to be so arrogant only because she was favored by grandfather, and even questioned the sincerity of Isabella's love for Jaxon. These calculated, sugar-coated words completely ignited Jaxon's fury. But then, an even more shocking scene unfolded. Just as Natasha was defending herself, Isabella suddenly clutched her stomach and let out a painful scream. In front of everyone, she announced that she was pregnant with Jaxon's child, and turned the tables, accusing Natasha of trying to harm the baby in her womb. The news exploded like a bomb, throwing the entire family into an uproar. Jaxon's mother was overjoyed. She rushed forward, treating Isabella like a priceless treasure, while the way she looked at Natasha was filled with disdain and disgust. On the spot, she ordered her son Jaxon to stay by the side of the great contributor, Isabella, completely treating his lawful wife, Natasha, as if she didn't exist. Faced with her husband's betrayal, her mother-in-law's coldness, and the mistress's arrogance, Natasha felt the world spin around her. The overwhelming humiliation and heartbreak became too much to bear. Her vision went black, and she collapsed straight to the ground. Yet at the very moment she fell unconscious, her mother-in-law showed not a shred of concern. Instead, she urged her son to hurry and leave with the pregnant Isabella. What they didn't know was that Natasha's collapse wasn't caused by heartbreak at all, but by a shocking bloodline secret she herself had been hiding. And when she wakes up, how will she unleash the most devastating revenge on this cheating couple and their cold-blooded family? In a hospital ward, a man shockingly points at his newly pregnant wife in front of everyone, viciously demanding to know who the child in her womb really belongs to. And all of this began just 1 second before the husband kicked the door open. At that moment, the frail Natasha had just learned the joyful news of her pregnancy from her close male friend, Oliver. Considering that the timing wasn't right, the two were discussing keeping it a secret for the time being. Oliver, a friend of the hospital director, promised Natasha that no matter what happened, he would always stay by her side. However, this warm and tender moment was completely shattered by an uninvited guest. Natasha's husband, Jaxon, suddenly burst in. He happened to overhear their conversation, and his jealousy instantly exploded. Looking at his wife lying in the hospital bed and the good friend beside her, Jaxon's face darkened with terrifying fury. He was convinced he had been cuckolded. He gave Natasha no chance to explain at all. Instead, he immediately branded the royal Oliver as her lover, his words dripping with sarcasm and humiliation. Even the nearby doctor couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward to advise him, reminding him that the patient needed rest only to be shoved aside by the enraged man. Jaxon brazenly asserted his authority as a husband, acting as if the entire world had betrayed him. Seeing her husband as completely irrational behavior, Natasha's heart turned utterly cold. Faced with Jaxon's escalating insults and baseless accusations, she finally refused to endure it in silence and dropped a bombshell that stunned everyone present. The one who truly betrayed their marriage was not her, but Jaxon himself. His mistress was already pregnant with his child. This shocking reversal made Jaxon instantly lose control. Enraged and humiliated, he revealed a twisted, vicious side. Leaning close to Natasha's ear, he whispered a chilling death threat that only the two of them could hear. It turned out this man was not only a shameless cheating scumbag, but also a demon who wanted his own wife dead. Watching her husband walk away without a backward glance, Natasha's eyes shifted from despair to an unprecedented resolve. She knew that for herself and the child in her womb, this war was only just beginning. Faced with a husband determined to kill her and the mistress lurking in the shadows, how will Natasha fight back? And where will the fate of her and her unborn child ultimately lead? Just because her best friend became pregnant with her husband's child, this woman was framed on the spot as a murderer. What is most chilling of all is that her husband didn't hesitate for a second. He chose to believe the mistress. The story begins with a three-way confrontation. Take a closer look. This woman is named Natasha. She once believed she had the happiest marriage and the most loyal best friend, Isabella. But now, that former friend stands before her with a swollen belly, flaunting the fact that she is carrying Natasha's husband Jaxon's child. It turns out that the reason Jaxon abandoned Natasha was precisely because Isabella had become pregnant with his child. Isabella's words drip with provocation and superiority, mocking Natasha for being unworthy of ever bearing Jaxon's child. Just as the tension reaches a breaking point, another man, Oliver, suddenly appears. With commanding force, he pulls Natasha behind him, declares that Natasha is his wife, and warns everyone to stay away from her. Yet an even more terrifying plot is quietly unfolding. When Natasha encounters Isabella again, Isabella suddenly lets out a piercing scream and collapses to the ground, her abdomen drenched in blood. And in Natasha's hand, no one knows when a bloodstained knife has appeared. The first thing Jaxon sees when he rushes in is this horrifying scene. He gives Natasha no chance to explain and immediately concludes that, driven by jealousy, she tried to murder Isabella and the child in her womb. Natasha protests desperately, hoarse from shouting, insisting that Isabella staged the entire act herself, that she forced the knife into Natasha's hand. But Jaxon has already been completely blinded. He furiously condemns Natasha as a cold-blooded liar while passionately defending the pure and innocent Isabella, insisting that she had once been injured saving him and was physically fragile, someone who would never risk her own life to frame another. Watching the man she once loved now threaten her with the most vicious words, Natasha's heart sinks into utter despair. Jaxon even delivers a ruthless warning: if anything happens to Isabella, he will never let Natasha off the hook. Pregnant herself, betrayed by her husband and framed by her best friend, how will Natasha prove her innocence in this desperate situation and make this cheating man and scheming woman pay the price? Pay close attention, this woman is clearly the legitimate wife of a wealthy CEO, yet she is treated like a tool devoid of feelings. Just moments ago, the man had tormented her in countless ways. But in the next second, a single phone call from the mistress made him immediately abandon his injured wife and leave without looking back. Before leaving, he even locked all the doors and windows, trapping her in this cold, prison-like villa. The story actually begins a few minutes earlier. The woman's name is Natasha. At this moment, blood flows from her arm. Yet her husband, billionaire CEO Jaxon, turns a blind eye. His concern is not for his wife's injury, but for the challenge to his authority. Jaxon wants his private doctor, renowned as a world-class expert, to examine Natasha. But she, exhausted and heartbroken, refuses outright. She knows that in this man's heart, she can never compare to the woman named Isabella, simply because Isabella is carrying his child. The immense humiliation and sense of betrayal push Natasha past her limits. She wants nothing more than to escape this demon of a man immediately. But her defiance enrages Jaxon completely. This controlling man yanks her back violently, demanding whether she intends to sever ties with him. He even suspects that she wants to leave him because of a man named Oliver. Natasha, desperate, insists that Jaxon is the only man in her life, but he refuses to believe her. In his eyes, she is nothing more than property, a tool to be used at his will. Tears streaming down her face, Natasha screams that he may take her body. And how will she strike back at this cheating man and his scheming mistress?